systems of equations with applications.
Okay, so the thing with applications of systems of equations is that you are still trying to solve a system. Like if you have a system, you're always trying to find two variables. You're trying to find the x and you're trying to find the y. So for each of these word problems, you have an x and you have a y. Alright, so we're going to go through each of these problems first, and we're going to underline the sentence. The last sentence tells us what variables we're looking for. So for number 15, it says the sum of two numbers is 53. If twice the first number minus 3 times the second number is 26, find both numbers. So in this situation, both numbers are going to be your x and y. So your first number is going to be x. So first number is your x, and second number is your y. So right now we're defining the variable. That means we're trying to figure out what x is and what y is, like the meaning of it. Alright, number 16, it says the Boy Scouts are selling popcorn at the parade to raise money for their camping trip. Ethan sold 9 small bags and 2 large bags and made $36.05. Jack sold 5 small bags and 7 large bags and made $48. Find the cost of small and large bags. So the last sentence is going to help you define the variables. So they're talking about two different things. They're talking about small and large popcorn. So your first variable, so your first is going to be small, so and it's going to be the x, or you can write it as s, as long as you have two different variables. And then your second variable is going to be the large popcorn, and that can be y or L. Okay, so all we didn't set up an equation yet. We're just figuring out what they're asking. So one of our answers is going to be an answer for small popcorn, and the other one's going to be an answer for large popcorn. So number 15, I'm going back and I'm solving it, and it says the sum of two numbers. Okay, so I have to set up two equations because that's what systems is. Okay, so the first equation, it says the sum of two numbers is 53. So that right there, that little sentence is going to give me an equation. If you're saying the sum of two numbers, well, your first number we said was x, and we said the second number was y. So the sum of x plus y equals 53. So our first equation is about the sum, okay? And we can put sum next to it. The second equation says it's about value. What is each worth? Okay, the second equation comes from if twice the first number, so twice the first number is x, so twice the first number minus 3 times the second number, which is y, is 26. So now I have two equations, okay? I have two equations. The first equation is about the sum of what the first plus the second number equal, and then the next equation is about the value of each. So now you can either use substitution or elimination to solve this. I'm looking at these and saying, okay, they're already in columns. I have an x column and a y column. So I'm going to use elimination. So to use elimination, I have to eliminate one of the columns. So I'm going to rewrite these below. And to eliminate the columns, I have to have the same number and variable, but opposite signs. So if I wanted to eliminate the x column right here, I would have to have a negative 2x and a 2x because I'm going to add these together because elimination, you're adding each column. So if I want to eliminate this column, I have to make the top a negative 2x. So I can make it a negative 2x by multiplying. Because when I do elimination, I can multiply and add. Those are the only two operations I'm going to do. So when I multiply, I'm going to multiply that negative 2 all the way across the first. Okay, so when I multiply across, I'm going to have negative 2x minus 2y equals negative 106. And then I'm just going to rewrite the second equation. Okay, I can cancel out the x's, and then I add the other numbers. I get negative 5y equals, so this is going to be negative 80, and then when you divide by negative 5, you get y equals 16. Okay, so y equals 16, y is your second number, right? So if y is your second number, it says that, we know that y is our second number because that's what we defined. So the first number, we still don't know what it is, but our second number, we know that that is 16. Well, to figure out the first number, we can look back at one of the equations. And one of our first equations on the top is x plus y equals 53. So all we have to do is just plug that in. So if we have x plus y equals 53, all we have to do is plug in for y. We can plug in 16. So instead of putting a y there, if I put a 16 and I subtracted 16 from 53, then our first number is 37. And we can check that because it says the sum of our two numbers is supposed to be 53. So when you add these two numbers together, you should get 53. The Boy Scouts are selling popcorn at the parade to raise money for their camping trip. Ethan sold 9 small bags and 2 large bags and made $36.05. Jack sold 5 small bags and 7 large bags and made $48. Find the cost of a small bag and large bag. So we already defined the variables as the small bag being X and the large bag being Y. The next thing that you need to do is figure out what each equation represents. For the first equation, I said that the first equation represents sum, and the second equation represents the value. For this equation, you're talking about two different things, but it's not sum and value. You're talking about a dude named Ethan and a dude named Jack. So your first equation is going to be about Ethan. So you're going to put Ethan for the first. And your second equation is going to be about Jack. We're going to write an equation based on Ethan. So it says Ethan sold. So our whole equation is going to be about Ethan. Ethan sold 9 small bags and 2 large bags and made that much money. Okay? So we're going to do 9 small is S or X, so 9S plus the 2 large equals how much money he made, so 36.05. So the next equation is going to be based off of the other guy. And it's going to be in the same kind of format. So Jack sold 5 small bags. So instead of putting 9S, I'm going to put 5S. and then 7 large bags. So plus 7 large bags, and this guy made $48. Now you can use elimination to figure out what S represents and what L represents. So we want to cancel out one of those columns. To cancel out one of those columns, we have to make the same number with opposite signs. So we can cancel out the L column by making these two the same number. Well, if you have 2 and you have a 7, a common multiple of 2 and 7 would be 14. So I want to make the top a negative 14 and the bottom a positive 14. To make the top a negative 14, I'm going to multiply by negative 7. To make the bottom a positive 14, I'm going to multiply by a 2. Okay, so when you multiply, you're multiplying each of these. So the top should give you negative 7 times 9 would give you negative 63s minus 14L equals negative 255.50. And then the bottom should give you 10S plus 14L equals 96. And you're going to add these. If you guys notice, you can cancel out the L's. That's the whole point. All right, first I'm going to change the bottom because this was actually supposed to be negative 252.35. And I'm going to cancel out the middle. And then I have negative 63, and I'm adding 10. And that's going to give me, right here is going to give me negative 53s. And then I'm going to subtract this one, and which is negative 52.35. And I'm going to add 96 to that. And that gives me 156.35. And to get S by itself, we divide by 53. So we're going to divide by 53, or negative 53. And since I have two negatives, that's going to make a positive, and S is going to equal 295. So it says find the cost of a small and large bag of popcorn. S is your small bag of popcorn. So your small bag of popcorn, so S equals 295. So if your small bag is 295, when we have to figure out the large bag. Okay, so to find what L is or Y, you're going to take one of the original equations, like this red equation up here that I wrote out, and you're going to plug the S in. So it'd be 9 times, not S, but 295 plus 2L equals 36.05. So you do 9 times 2.95 and you get 26.55. And you subtract that 26.55 from your $36.05, and you should get $12.50. Then you have this 2L, so you have to divide by 2. So when you divide by 2, you should get, at the bottom, you should get that y equals $4.75. So L equals $4.75. And those would be your two variables. So this tells you small bag of popcorn is $2.95 per bag, and the large bag is $4.75. So pre-orders for the yearbook cost $38 each, while full price costs $45 each. If 24 students in Mr. Hillsman's homeroom purchase yearbooks for a total of $975, how many students pre-ordered and how many bought their yearbook at full price? The last sentence tells you what your variables are. So you have your X. X is going to be your pre-order. And your Y is going to be full price. So pre-order you can label with P and full price F. Okay? So how many students pre-order and how many bought their yearbook at full price? So and then you're trying to figure out what your two equations are. So one equation is about the number oops, I can't circle it. 38 and 45 and 975 are all costs. Okay? All of those are costs. Well, you have to look at this. So one of your equations is going to be about costs. Okay, so 38 is a cost for the pre-order. So you put 38P. 45 is a cost for the full price, so you put F. And those total, it says, is $975. So you put it equals $975. So the next equation, it looks like we used everything, but we really didn't. We didn't use 24. This number 24 has to do with how many students. Okay, that's how many pre-orders, how many full price orders. So we do P plus F, because that's how many pre-orders, how many full price orders. That total is going to equal 24, because that tells me the amount, okay, or number of. So my first equation is about the costs, and every single term, the P, the F, and the number, all of these represents cost. So 38P represents a cost. 45F represents a cost. 975 represent a cost. So all of these are a cost. P and F and 24 are all numbers. So this is how many. This is not how much. We already know how much the P is worth. It's worth 38, but we don't know how many. How many pre-orders do we have? F is full price. We know how much the full price is, but we don't know how many. Okay, so that's what we're going to figure out. And the best approach for this one, because you don't have any numbers for the second equation, I would use substitution. Because substitution is just about getting a variable by itself. And if I move P to the other side of 24, I can get F by itself and plug in F right here. Okay, so when you solve this, you are going to get F by itself instead of using elimination. So we're going to subtract the P. So now you have F equals 24 minus P. And we're going to plug all of that in to the other equation. That's how we do substitution. So we're going to rewrite 38P plus 45. And instead of writing F, we're going to put what F is. And F is 24 minus P. And then that equals 975. The first thing you do is distribute, okay? So you should get 1080, and then minus 45p. Oops, my 45 didn't show up. Equals 975. And then you bring down the 38p. You can combine these p's, and you get negative 7p, and then plus the 1080. And then you can subtract that from 975. So we subtract. Okay, when you subtract, you're going to get negative 7p equals negative 105. And then you divide by negative. So when you're dividing a negative by a negative, you should get your pre-orders as 15. So P equals 15. And I can plug this in to the second equation up here to figure out what F is. So if my second equation was P plus F equals 24, and I plug in 15 for P, I can say, okay, 15 plus what equals 24? Well, 15 plus 9 equals 24. So my full price orders are going to be 9, and my pre-orders are going to be 15. All right, the next one, number 18, and this is going to be on your test. It says that Angelina has a collection of nickels and dimes worth $4.65. If she has 70 nickels and dimes, how many of each does she have? So how many of each? Each is talking about X is your nickels and Y is your dimes. So we're saying how many nickels and how many dimes. So if she has a collection of nickels and dimes worth worth $4.65, and she has 70, so you have the first equation is 70 and talking about how many. So you have how many, and then the second equation is how much. Okay, so first equation, how many? So if you have 70 nickels and dimes, that means that N plus D, that's the number of nickels, and the number of dimes equals 70. Okay, the second equation asks how much. And this is where it gets confusing because everybody always forgets to put how much the nickels are worth and how much the dimes are worth. Because if it gives you a value, like it gives you a value being equal to $4.65. Well, you can't figure out the value of each until you put the value of each. The nickels are valued at 5 cents. So you put 0.05 for N. So when you have a money systems problem, you have to put the value. So like if it was if it said a quarter, the value of a quarter is 0.25. Okay, so the value of a dime is 0.10, and you would put D. Okay, and we would solve this, and I would definitely, I'm not going to put a plus sign. I'm going to use substitution for this one because I already almost have the D by itself. So I'm going to use substitution so I can take the N, the first equation, and get D by itself. Okay, so I'm going to subtract the N. So now I have D equals 70 minus N. And I can plug this in to the other equation for the D. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite the bottom equation, 0.05n plus 0.10, and instead of writing a D, I'm going to put what D is over here, and I'm going to plug this in. Oops. So minus n equals 4.65. So I'm going to distribute first, and remember that's not a 10, that's a 0.10. So 0.10 times 70 is going to give me a 7, and then 0.10 times n is going to give me a negative 0.10 n. And then I'm just going to come down here and write down everything from the top. So now you can combine like terms, so my n's are the same. So I have 0.05 minus 0.10, and that gives me a negative 0.05 plus a 7, and that equals 4.65. So next you can subtract the 7. When you subtract 7 over here, I forgot the n, sorry. You're going to subtract the 7, and you're going to get negative 2.35. And then you're going to divide by the 0.05. And that should give you that n equals 47, because when you divide a negative by a negative, you get a positive. And now you can take that and plug it into the first equation for n. And if I plug in a 47 plus d equals 70, all I have to do is subtract 47, and that will give me how many dimes? So for dimes, 23, and nickels, 47. And that's how you get each of those.
Alright guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See ya!